So happy to have you on Cinema Express finally. So right now we are going through a phase where like everybody, actors, writers, filmmakers, even journalists, we are going through like, we are struggling to be, creative and stay focused and all that. How is Roshan Mathew handling all this?
I I don't know. I think I'm handling it okay. Obviously, there are some really difficult days, really difficult like patches,
Yeah.
chunks of days. But there's always been something or the other that comes that'll pull me out of it. So I rely a lot on
Yeah.
like it could just be a good film or a book that I discover that I yeah, that pulls me out of like a bad spot. I've
Yeah.
been relying a lot on all of these things. It could be starting work on some pet project which I will throw away probably in like 3 or 4 days. I've become extremely selective of because there's all this time and I can't sit idle. I don't really do well when I'm not doing anything. So I keep finding things to keep myself busy with, and I've become extremely selective in those things. Like, what do I watch? What do I read? Who do I spend time with? Or have a conversation with? And also just gently like putting plants all around. I've been doing a bunch of different things. Just like anything and everything that I can try to keep busy. I always need 5 or 10 undone things on my to-do list so that I can sleep at night thinking, okay, I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll finish those things.
Oh, so you put like all these tasks, so that I think keeps you occupied.
Yeah. So there's always a list in my head. There's a list on my phone. There's a list in like one of the notebooks that I use.
Yeah.
I never get through any of them, but I think I thrive on that.
Yeah, that's something that I am also trying to do these days. Keep myself busy. Otherwise, all these negative thoughts come into our head.
Yeah.
Is this Kuruthi the fastest shoot you've been on? Because I remember giving the news and like, after a few days, it's over,
Yeah. Kuruthi was definitely one of the fastest. I think See You Soon was probably the fastest. That was altogether 19 days or so. Kuruthi was 24 days. But two entirely different kinds of films, right? So for something like Kuruthi, when you watch the film, you'll know that it's not by any means an easy film to shoot fast. But there are also a lot of things about the film, like the way it's structured, things from the script itself that also lends itself to a continuous shoot without breaks in between. So all the scenes pretty much like go into each other. They're happening, the things happening consecutively pretty much in real time. That way it was possible for us to be in one space and just continue. We didn't, there were many times when I didn't know that we had finished one particular scene and then moved on to the next. That's not really happened with any other film for me. There were those things that let us go for it, but it was also an extremely demanding shoot, physically, emotionally, and I think it was a lot of that credit goes to the people who were in the cast and crew. Because everybody kept their energy up, and Kuruthi is a sort of film where we started off with 3 or 4 of the cast members, and one by one the rest of them joined, and everyone's together then till the end of the film. And I felt like it was incredible for me how every new actor who joined, I think Manikandan was the first one to join, Murali Chettan, Srinda, Mamuka, and me and Nestlin, we sort of started the film. Prithvi was also there. But like from then on, every new actor who came in, Manikandan Jettan, Shine Jettan, Sagar, Prithvi joined. Started stepping into the scenes. Everyone kept that momentum going. So it was really cool how we were all on some like trip. We were enjoying the work, and that's what kept us from getting tired, I guess. The schedules were really hectic and our days were tough. As long as you enjoy it, I guess you find a way to get through it. And And yeah, more than anything, Prithvi is also a huge inspiration that way. He comes in with a great deal of energy every morning, and he somehow
Yeah,
keeps it preserved till the end of the day.
yeah.
I've literally never seen him, tired or take a minute off just to sit and breathe or catch his breath. He's just like a machine. So I think everyone was also playing catch up.
Yeah, because you played all these psychologically conflicted characters a lot of times. I often wonder whether like something that you played before, do you have that concern of something that you played before coming into your influence your new role or something?
Yeah, definitely. See, I I am constantly worried about that. Actually, it's a huge fear. I don't always pick projects purely based on the character alone. But what I look at when I look at the character is this is basically one of the most important things that I look at. That it shouldn't be similar to something that I have played, at least in the recent past for me. At
Mm,
least in the last year or so. If it's similar to something I did longer than that
mm,
ago, I don't think I structured that well. But basically, yeah, if it's something that I did like more than maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, then fine, I can attempt it again. I should be able to make it better.
mm.
But if I've attempted something similar in the recent past, I'm too scared that I'll end up falling into that again, because it
Yeah.
is, there is, if there is familiar territory very close to this particular character, then you will have I feel like I will have the tendency to slip into that. And I don't think I'm that good to that good an actor yet to pick really similar characters and still make them very distinct on screen. I've seen a lot of actors do it. I've seen people like Fahad and all do it so well. I want to get there someday, Pakshay. For now, I'm sticking with I will find my differences before I
Yeah.
go for a character. If it feels similar to me, I say no. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think after Moothon, the your performance in Aanum Pennum, I think is the most talked about after Moothon, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I wonder that whether Ashik Kapoor and because it takes a lot of trust,
Yeah.
between the actors and directors to come up with something, that's that mind blowing, and because we haven't done anything like that in Malayalam cinema before, and so I wonder whether these two filmmakers, Gidhu Mohandas and Ashik Kapoor, are they quite similar when it comes to extracting the best out of their actors?
They're actually very different in their styles of working, but
Mm.
for me, the similarity, and I don't know where it comes from, it's a very abstract thing, but
Yeah.
these are two filmmakers who I felt extremely comfortable working with.
Mm.
And I don't know what it is exactly that they do that make I it's not like I was friends with either of them before I worked
Mm.
with them or anything.
Mm.
But Ashiket, I think on the sets of Aanum Pennum, I realized he really just lets you be. He lets
Mm.
you be so much that he's happily sitting back and saying, "Huh, like go ahead and do it." So it sort of gives you a certain sense of confidence that okay, if he has that much confidence in me, and if he's just saying go ahead and do it,
Mm.
then maybe things are in place. And it's not like he doesn't direct you, he does, but it's very gentle how he nudges you towards something that he wants you to do, or say something here, try this here. All of that he does. He plants everything that he wants you to do, but it never feels like someone's correcting you. It only feels like gentle nudges so you go the right way. It's extremely comforting. You feel like you have gotten the character, and now you just have to flow with it. And
Yeah.
Geetu gave me the same feeling. Of course, at Moothon we went in with like some more preparation. I had to learn sign language. We had a 3-day workshop, Geetu, Niven and me, before we went in for shoot. Apo, it was a completely different scenario. Aanum Pennum, we sort of just like discussed the film initially and then just turned up at shoot, and it was a very quick shoot.
Yeah.
With Gitu, there was a lot of involvement from her side. She again, she makes you do exactly what she wants this character to do, but she will find a way to make you feel like you did it yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, neither of these things, I don't think I did either of these myself. It was a huge part of these
Yeah.
directors playing in those characters. പക്ഷെ അത് നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ when we do it, we don't feel
Yeah.
like someone else's
Yeah.
influence working.
Now, at the time of Moothon, you said that the character's personality has some limitations. Right? I mean, people like you said before about speech and all that, uh, and that worked to your advantage. Those limitations.
Yeah.
Has there been any situations where the lack of character development became a limitation, and then you had to fill in those blanks, and you worked it out somehow?
There have been times when I got in and I felt a little confused with the journey of the character through the film. That
Yeah.
like when I read the script, so you sort of tend to connect all the dots and make the arc or the journey complete. Make every scene make sense to you with respect to what has happened before it. And there have been films where I've gone in and then slight changes maybe have happened, or changes in the way these scenes were filmed, that I've lost track of that. Now it doesn't make sense for me coming into that scene and doing this particular thing or saying this particular thing, because we played the other one differently. So I've had to do a lot of work to still do that scene convincingly. Or you don't always get to shoot chronologically also. So suppose you've done like one scene which happens in towards the later part of the film, and then you come back to a scene that happens a lot before it, and maybe a relationship that you established there, or something that you said or did just does not make sense now with how this former scene is playing, and this is going to be the first thing that the audience watch before that other one. There have been issues like that, and obviously you try to figure it out. You try to figure it out with your director. You try to figure it out by yourself. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And these things do get pointed out when people give you good critique. These things are pointed out, and it's not always that you manage to iron out your mistakes. When a character has not been developed enough, and I go into it, I so far not yet been able to fill in for that. I feel like when effort has not been fully put into developing the character at a scripting or planning stage, then execution the samayat an actor alone can't really do it. What, there has to be space, and it's never just the actor working. It doesn't matter what all you come in with, or how much acting you're carrying with you. It's if it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah. And you also made another great point about like at the time of Moothon, that we need to look at that film without any labels, as a love story of two people. I mean, that's a great point, right? Because normally what I see now is that there seems to be a compulsion for some filmmakers and writers, considering the excessively woke political climate that we are in now, that some filmmakers tend to be very loud with their progressive ideas, like they're trying to pander to a certain group of audiences. As an actor, how do you see these things?
See, for me, again, my biggest realization of that sort came in when I was prepping for Moothon, when Geetu gave me a list of films to watch, and one of the films was Happy Together by Moothon.
Great film.
Lovely film, right? I remember sitting and watching this film thinking, I am going to find playable notes about how to portray a homosexual relationship, a homosexual romantic relationship. And I watched the film, and my biggest takeaway was that it just felt like any well-portrayed romantic relationship. So that's what that film taught me. And it's like until then I was thinking about it the wrong way. And it was so good with like, I don't know how she didn't know me as a person. She literally met me like a couple of times, had a few conversations, and gave me a list of films to watch. All of those films helped me in some way or the other. Some I've identified how they helped me, some I haven't. So I feel like it's just a matter of when you like it's just a matter of your understanding. That is what will fully influence your perspective. And this understanding could come from watching other art. It could come from engaging with people. It could come from conversations, from books, anywhere. But the moment you reach a certain level of understanding, then your perspective will evolve accordingly. And there's no saying that my understanding is correct and yours is wrong. It's just about how correct can you be. I am at a point right now where I feel like I am a little more correct than I was maybe 2 years ago. So now I'm being able to identify these things. When I watch a film, when I read a script, I can understand the perspective, and hence from the perspective, I can understand the understanding of the context that the maker is coming from.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah. So, and I feel like that's also something that has to keep evolving. Like 3 years later, I want to look back at where I am, where I was right now, and think that, oh, okay, I thought I was correct then, but I still really wasn't. There were so many things I was doing and thinking wrong. So as that happens, I guess, and like as that happens to every, collaborator in any project, I feel like the project itself will also slowly move to a more mature level of depicting things.
Yeah. So for this last question, I'll ask you about the 3 films, upcoming films that I'm excited about, because Darlings, I'm happy that you got to work with Shefali Shah, and there is Kumari, and then there is Kothu, C.V. Malayal's Kothu coming. So what can you tell us about these 3 films?
Darlings, I'm also very excited about my co-actors, my 3 co-actors, Alia, Shefali, and Vijay. And we just wrapped shoot for Darlings. And my biggest takeaway, so it was a completely different experience for me, which I wanted. I wanted to do something outside of the zone I'm beginning to now get comfortable in. I won't call it my comfort. It's not like I can walk into a set here and feel fully at home yet. No, I'm still super nervous when I go in for shoot. But I just wanted a completely different experience, which I got. And I stumbled, I fell, I struggled a lot. And, as I expected, my biggest takeaway has been watching these 3 people work, and just like what they bring into a scene. It feels like they're so prepared, and I don't know where that preparation is happening. I don't see where that's coming from, but it really feels like everything is on point. And that sort of sharpness that they come in with, the energy that they come in with, for me has been great to watch. I don't know how much of it I have absorbed. I don't know how much of it I can possibly even try to use. But yeah, that way it's been a lovely experience. And obviously a much bigger production than anything that I've worked on so far. So that's been interesting to watch. It's not like everything about it being big, it has seemed like an advantage to me, but it's just been interesting to watch how different things are. Kumari again is a genre that I haven't yet gotten to work with in Malayalam or in anything I've done. So I really liked Ranam. I thought Ranam had a certain character to it. So I'm very excited about how Nirmal is going to make Kumari. I'm excited about the team, the rest of the cast and technicians involved in it. And yeah, mostly just about the setting, my character, and the tone and mood of the film, which I'm not going to tell you anything about because it's too early. But it is completely different, and I wanted to try out something that feels entirely like a different world altogether. With Bimalel sir, again, like 2 major exciting things were one was Asif. I've been wanting to work with for so long. He's been doing such amazing work. I remember watching Asif in Uyere and thinking I want to work with him. And he played it's not like he's the protagonist of the story, and he played such a flawed character, and there's so much definition that he gave it that I absolutely loved it. Aanum Pennum also, Asuka was amazing, I thought. So I've been wanting to work with him, so I jumped at that opportunity. Cinema Lids are obviously I don't need to sit here and name films where Yeah,
Legend.
exactly. Like, yeah, it's not even something that you think about, right? Because
Yeah.
you've watched their films. So Sirivayal sir ഒരു പടം ചെയ്യും എന്നുള്ളത് I've never thought. So when it
Yeah.
comes, it's like, oh, really? Is this happening? Wow. Okay. So everything from like the first meeting to the narration to even after 14-15 days of filming with him, suddenly one day when we're shooting something, something he does or says or something, like just his general behavior while we're shooting, it suddenly seems so surreal because
Yeah.
you're suddenly taken back. Oh my God, this is a man who made Kireedam.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Thanks so much.